Hello, my name is Rafa Sardina. We're at the JC Microphones booth at the NAMM Show 2014. Well, I'm here to support JC Microphones. It's a brand of microphones I use all the time. I met these guys around two and a half, 3 years ago when they were starting to develop their new line of products, a brand new line of products. And after using their flagship BH1 microphone, the Black Hole, I fell in love with what they do, their products, and I've been continuing using them ever since. To me, some of the favorite microphones I would have to say is between the V47 and the V67.
So the
I've been using
vintage ones.
the vintage ones. I've been using those the most, I would say, because the versatility of what it allows you to do. It's a little bit more of a more tame kind of microphone compared, for example, to the VH1. But the VH1, the Black Hole, gives you something that the other ones don't give you either. So they really complement each other. It's the whole collection of microphones from JC really complements.
Black Hole.
Well, I've been using actually the whole line of the ones I have, which is pretty much everything but the newest one that just came out. Been using them on basically everything I do, at some point or other. This year I worked with a production with Placido Domingo, doing some opera recordings, but also with some pop recordings. I work with some other opera singers, like quite a few of them. This past year I've done. Well, I have to remember. I work on so much stuff this year. A new artist that's coming out, Laura Michelle Patterson. Her album is just popping out very, very soon, and many other artists like a band from Spain called Estopa. A new album that's just coming out, Antonio Orozco, just came out and went double platinum in a month, which was very surprising this time. And work a lot. No, really. Really, you have to work a lot. You really have to be passionate about what you do. That's for sure. I mean, like today, in order to make it here to NAMM, I only slept 4 hours, for real. And sometimes you have to do it, no matter at what level you are at. That's what we do every day. I mean, we're passionate about what we do, and we do it every day. That's the thing too. We're passionate and we constantly work at our craft. And I think not being afraid of trying things. It's like, and not assuming things. Like, for example, we talk about use of microphones and people will tell you, oh, I will use the V47 for such and such. Don't be afraid of trying things. Don't be afraid to put it on a snare. I've done it already. Those kind of things, but people, in a way, take it for granted that you can be adventurous about trying things and using things in a way that other people don't portray as the regular use. And I'm finding that's truly the key, because you never know. You never know. It's like writing a song. Yeah, it's like writing a song. I do that too. I co-write, I work on production all the time. And if you keep assuming that things are gonna roll this way because you have done it before 100 times and it works, you are going to be in trouble, because you are not going to move ahead and create anything new. You are just going to repeat yourself all the time. So, yeah, that'll be my biggest advice. I think both of them work together. I work on both worlds, the analog world and the digital world. Actually, I was just working on a blues album and everything was recorded live to tape. Straight to tape, the stereo mix, straight to tape, old school. And that's the only thing that can actually give you the sound. People think like Neil Young the other day at the one Grammy event was talking, they were honoring him for his lifetime, for his whole career. And he's just gonna record an album this year in 2014, just using 2 microphones to record everything. And the whole idea came out of trying to replicate what he heard even as a kid, this sense of how he would hear albums from the 30s and early 40s, how they sounded. And he realized that after experimenting, that just putting the two microphones or the one microphone just gave you the sound. So sometimes being naive about it and really going back in time gives you the result. And we take for granted that we use analog every day. Microphones are analog.
Yeah, and there's no
Our
way that
ears
people get digital.
are analog, yeah. And even instruments are analog. You know, a good guitar amp, you know, you are going through the analog world through speakers. So we experience the analog world, we kind of forget that most of what we do exists in the analog world, but we just use digital as the medium to store it and manipulate it. But I think both worlds, you know, can coexist, and they do work together, and yeah. Yeah, when we talk about vintage microphones, and you know, and I do know this very well because I have actually a pretty extensive vintage microphone collection. But one of the advantages of new microphones, obviously, this time, well, there are a couple of advantages, I would say, especially if you don't have access to good techs, people that can really repair the vintage microphones, which are very few people, by the way, that really know what they are doing. If you don't have access to those kind of people, I would say be very careful with how you invest into vintage microphones, because very likely it's not going to be a true vintage microphone. Many of the parts will have been replaced. It probably won't sound like the vintage microphone that you assume you were buying. And number two, if it breaks, you are going to be in damn trouble to get it fixed. But other than that, it's really maintenance, you know, the key factor about vintage microphones. And I think that at this time, there are so many new microphones, like the JC microphones, you know, that emulate many of the vintage sounds in some of the line that they make, that, you know, you get the best of both worlds. You know, you get the vintage sound, but you get the bulletproof microphone that you know is going to last you forever, and it's going to work every day. That's the thing, you know. Very often you go to studios and you pull 10 vintage microphones and half of them have trouble. Half of them don't actually work and you cannot use them. So that's one of the aspects to consider. I think that with new microphones, it's great to have a good looking microphone, but obviously listen with your ears, don't listen with your eyes. It will be surprising to see how many people get a big microphone and they expect a big sound. No, seriously, it sounds like a joke, but many people, when they are not, especially when they are not experienced, they want to believe what they see. They want to believe that the dimensions are proportional to the sound, those kind of things. Somehow they think that if he has a big power supply, it's going to be a bigger sounding microphone. I don't know. You have to use your ears and not be afraid of using the microphone on everything that you can imagine. Don't ever assume it's a vocal microphone. I'll try this microphone on a snare, for example, right away, or I'll try it on so many other things just to see what it gives me, and you'll be surprised. That's how you find your new sounds, your new preferences.